Hi, my name's Dr. Viv Rolfe. I'm a university lecturer, and this is just two little resources introducing ethics and ethical approval processes that you might come across in your undergraduate research dissertations. It's an open education resource, as you can see from the Creative Commons logo there, so you're free to use it and share it and do what you like. So this is the first of two parts. It's an introduction to ethics. And if you use this resource, you'll be able to understand what ethics are, why they're important, some historical principles, how ethics might be important for some typical university research projects, and as you will see, these can be quite diverse, a little bit of a flow diagram for a university approval process, and just touching on briefly what an ethics process might be like in the NHS. Then how does it actually fit into our research planning, and what other documents might you find useful? I will leave you with that YouTube link on the blog, and it's just a nice discussion of what people's concept of ethics. And we're certainly not going to go into the theories underpinning ethics, but as you see from that video if you watch it, we've got quite a personal approach to ethics. It's related to our values for things. It might be influenced by our upbringing and our cultures. And ethics can be very personal. So when it comes to reviewing ethics for research, panels will be very diverse and often include members of the public as well as experts. So this is just a basic introduction, and you may or may not need ethical approval for your undergraduate dissertation in your university, but I think it's really important that you do understand the principles, and employers would be interested in that. So they're all around us, aren't they, ethics, from whether we should clone sheep, whether human DNA and genes should be patented and commercially exploited, to governing what we eat, and even in vitro fertilisation. So ethics is in the news every day. The image of the chest of drawers just illustrates the collection of personal data, which is also something that would undergo ethical scrutiny. But ethics isn't new. The so-called father of medicine, Hippocrates, back in the ancient days, he came up with some principles that actually we really still hold true with today. For example, I will not give a lethal drug to anyone if I'm asked, nor will I advise such a plan. And similarly, I will not give a woman a pessary to cause an abortion. In the second quote relating to the use of data and personal information, I will keep secret as considering all such things to be private. And actually, these are two really strong ethic themes that we still apply today. But the history behind ethics is really quite intriguing, and it's quite a recent concept. And you should read up about Henrietta Lacks and really the amazing contribution this woman made to medical science, and you'd be surprised when you read the story. Her human tissue was taken, there were no code of ethics, her family explicitly gave no approval, and at the time of autopsy, when the family looked back on the body, none of her body organs remained. So an absolute, quite an atrocious case by today's standards, and the cells that they took form the HeLa cell line, which you might come across in many journal articles today. So going just down to the bullet point number 4, no consent was taken by her family, and early experiments using these cells were injected into prisoners. So really we're doing completely uncontrolled human clinical medical research here. And Henry Beecher was one such person who started to publish, that should be 1966, the need for medical consent in research. Around that time we had the Nuremberg war trials from World War II, and that led to the Nuremberg Code. The voluntary consent of the human subject is absolutely essential, and the term informed consent then shortly after appeared, which meant that to participate in any research you must be well informed what it's about, and you must sign to give your consent. And of course there might be examples where that actually can't be the case. So the informed consent is a really important term. The Declaration of Helsinki governs later on the use of all sorts of human tissue, not just clinical research, but biopsies, blood samples, and actually the storage of data. There are many other acts that need to comply with our ethical review processes. Data Protection Act is one such act. And in part 2, we'll go on and discuss how this might apply to your undergraduate project.